Welcome back to This Works For Us. I'm Tia Jackson.
And I'm Rashawn, better known as Sean. In today's episode, we're going to talk about relationship advice. There was an article that I saw earlier that had some questions about relationship advice. Here we are this year. We're going to be heading on 10 years of marriage, and there's some things we've learned along the way, and hopefully there's some stuff that we can actually share of how this works for us. Plug. So it had some very interesting questions that I thought would be great to get this show going on tonight.
Let's do it.
So one of the first questions is what was probably the best piece of relationship advice we were given?
Well, for me, I think it was during our pre-marital counseling, if that makes sense. So
yeah, we had we were already married, and our pastor's wife suggested to me, like, hey, you should take premarital counseling. I was like, okay, yeah. We wanted to do that before then, but the way stuff was set up, we just couldn't.
It wouldn't work out. But God is good because He knew who we needed to sit under to get premarital counseling, so it all worked out in the end. But when we sat under, when we did premarital counseling with our current pastor, Rodney Pearson, the greatest advice he gave to us was that our family unit is most important, and that extended family becomes just that, your extended family, and not to allow them to come in between your marriage or to let them in to your marriage, meaning married couples argue or have discussions, and we're quick to make up, but when you allow your extended family to get involved into those discussions or disagreements, it's harder for them to forgive and forget, and so they hold on to these grudges, and you and your spouse has already moved
put it on or whatever the case. So if we had an issue and we go to see your family up in New York or whatever, and say whatever the issue was, they're like, well, you should have did this, you should have did that. But time is going by, we've settled it, but they could be, when they see me, and like, there go this low down, dirty dog of a man that she with, and we're back in a good space, but because they felt that she should have done something that they would have thought, it won't sit right. So here I am. I don't know anything about it, but they feel a certain way about me, and that shouldn't be the way.
Yeah. I mean, thankfully, we really didn't have anything to tell them. But it's even the little things, like, oh, so-and-so did this, or he didn't do that. And even just sharing those little things, it's interesting, especially those, family members that may not even be married. They would be the first ones that want to give you marital advice, but be
If
single.
I was you, I'd leave.
Well, if you was me, you'd be married, first of all. So anyway, but
Man.
but
Y'all gonna have to watch this episode instead of those clips I put up.
but anywho, I think that was really great advice. And so, I really kept that in the back of my mind, like if there is something that we disagreed with on that day, or, something that I didn't like in particular, I didn't share that with friends or family, because that's something that me and Sean needed to work through, and not the whole world be involved.
Right. And I think I can't, outside of definitely receiving that great counseling from our pastor, trying to think of an individual that may have given me great relationship advice, and that really really escapes me at the moment. Like I've always been the type to be in a relationship for the most part. For whatever reason, it seemed like I was prior to meeting her, I was in one, out the other, and back in another one quickly. Wasn't planned that way, but it happened. So I didn't. I don't remember if I got.
You know what? I will say, we may not be able to remember a relationship advice, but I will take a second to shout out a very special couple in my eyes, and that would be your aunt and uncle.
Oh yeah.
Because
that's a good one.
They are super blessed, and when we watch their marriage, and all of that they have accomplished together, you know, we could see ourselves, you know, down the line being that blessed, and hopefully being the light for another couple. And so I would say that they may not have given us like advice per se, but just
watching them. Yeah, that's a good point, because I guess that would be the best advice I've ever seen. The way they have been living out their marriage, we've seen the things that they've done, and we look at that and we're like, man, that's goals. Wanna be like them, if not like them, but to the point of even to be better than them. So just like they've blessed us, and I believe we shared that with them, that we just, you know, really enjoy what they've done. They've told us countless times that they're, you know, proud of us and what we've accomplished, and, you know, thus far in our marriage. They've been married since 92. Since 92, and that's one of the things I can say. He's definitely been a role model for me, whether he knows it or not. I think I've shared it with him anyway, but he's definitely been a great role model for me to follow, and definitely proud of that.
Yeah. So, thank you.
All right.
You guys know who you are.
Yeah, you know, if you see it, you know. Another question. It's like, I know we touched on this one. It's like, how do you think couples should handle their finances? Now, I've received several advice on that. You know, I've seen where people were like, well, I got my money, she got her money, and we meet in the middle. And now, for us, we alluded from our first episode of how the two became one. So we talked about how, you know, before we got married, I had my account, she had her account. Once we got married, we basically became one. We only had one account for everything. So we don't, I guess for the most part, we don't have any separate accounts like that. I think I've had
separate money.
No, and there's no I got money on the side that she don't know about. Like we had whatever I get, she knows about. There's stuff I've gotten at my job, different rewards and stuff like that. And hey, babe, I got this. Like, I don't keep nothing from her as far as when it comes to money. You got a, you know, what is it, bonus or something? Got a bonus. Hey, babe, we got a bonus. Yeah, we got a bonus. Now, I will asterisk on that, because I feel like I felt it in my spirit. Felt it. It was about to come. Now, there was one recently that I got. Now, she knows about it. However, I will be using that for me, but it's actually for us, because I didn't want it to mess with our finances that we're bringing in. Would you agree?
I do. I mean, you know, to each his own, right? So some people feel like they need to have their own separate accounts for whatever reason. And I want to say it was Pastor who said, you know, when you set yourself up for, you know, I need to have own private account because, you know, you never know what's going to happen. You know, I just need me a little stash. You know, it's almost like, you know, if life and death is in the power of the tongue, like you're speaking a negative.
Yeah, basically speaking death into your marriage.
Basically saying, you know, I need to prepare for the time when we do get divorced, because it's not if, it's when.
Right.
And so I like to believe that, you know, we're speaking prosperity and all positives, and, you know, that we'll be married. We will be married till death do us part. And so there's no need for us to hide money from each other. There's no need for a stash. But we are also very much one. When we were married, it was not a difficult transition for us. We didn't have one person that was this crazy overspender, or one person who could not manage their money. And I do understand that there are people in relationships like that. And so, you know, some people have their reasons for having separate accounts. But for us, you know, it's everything in God. And so if God expects us to be one, that's one in everything, including our finances.
And we understand that, again, that some people have probably went down this road or whatever the case, but this is something that that we do. This works for us. Again, this works for us. So we will not allow, you know, certain things like that to come through. What the main thing is, I getting to my point here, I was losing my thought, but I got it back. I could not imagine that, you know, if we had separate accounts and I've spent my money or whatever and she still has hers, me as her husband, or even vice versa, where she spent her money and she's got to now, you know, ask me for money. It's just, I can't even get it out. Like, I feel that it's so crazy that if I have to ask my wife, my significant other, hey, I spent all my money. You got $40. Can
I borrow?
Can I borrow 40 from you till I get paid again? I get it back. I get it back to you. I get it back to you
with interest.
But I'll get it back.
Or like, can you imagine like just the arguments, like, you don't know how to manage your money. Why you don't have no gas money?
Now I gotta put gas in your car.
Yeah,
I gotta take my money and do it. Why you can't manage your money? Why we can't manage our money together?
Yeah, like
you know, again, that's
we probably could spend a whole 30 minutes on that one. So let's
we'll move on. We'll move on. Good Lord. That stuff. The stuff I hear about. I'm sorry. The stuff I hear about when it comes to that, it is baffling. I don't get it. But yeah, that's y'all. This is us.
This works for us.
I'm gonna move on. All right, another question. What's the best way to make up after a fight? We're not gonna talk about that. We won't have fights. It's all love here. What role? I think we kind of touched on it. We did touch on it.
Yeah.
What role should friends, extended family, and community have in your marriage? None.
They don't play a role. They're not a part of the marriage.
You don't make any decisions in this marriage. None.
Zero. Zip.
Y'all stay where you at. We handle ours. All right. That's where we at on that.
How should you handle housework?
Yeah, that's good. How should you handle housework and other chores? That has been the great debate since the beginning of time, where the man, goes to work, provides, wife at the time or whatever would stay home, take care of the children, blah, blah, blah. We know in today's society it's not like that. where you got a lot of people, there's two incomes, you know, in the house. You know, I'm working, she's working, things of that nature. So one of the things we're gonna, I guess, what we buck the trend on is we pretty much kind of, I mean, there's no specific roles in a sense that we have, I guess, you know, because it alternates.
I mean, yeah.
We can do one does more than the other. We both do it, but one does more than the other.
I think it was one of those things, those natural progression kind of things, like, okay, well, you're good at this and you enjoy doing this, and so you just do that. Not that the other person never does it.
Right.
It's just that, you know, that's what that person is good at doing. So I don't think that even though society has changed and, you know, there are more women in the workplace, obviously, and, you know, they're going to work and the kids are going to daycare, there's still a lot of women who choose to stay home with the kids. Nothing wrong with that. And so with that, it's like the woman still cooks or cleans, takes care of the house, and takes care of the kids, and you know, dad or the father provides. I think that our household is like very different from what people believe to be the norm. So like for us, Sean does most of the cooking. I don't particularly care to be in the kitchen, and I love that he's okay with that. And you know, I do majority of the cleaning.
And, praise God.
And I'm okay with that. And then when it comes to the kids, we like split everything down the middle. Like we just figure out what works for us. You know, in the mornings, Sean prepares the lunch and I get the girls ready, or you know.
Even in the evening, it's like she does it most of the time as far as giving them a bath. I'll give them a bath. Like it's not it's not one of them things like, well, you give them a bath. I ain't doing it.
Yeah. And I think it also boils down to like recognizing when the other needs help. So like, you know, there are some nights that I come home and I'm super tired from a long day of work, and not that Sean's not tired, but I think that he'll realize it and say, you know, let me just go ahead and give the kids a bath. Not because I want to give you a break, and not that he says it, you know, I'm going to give the kids a bath, you know, tonight. He just does it. And I think that we have a good, without the other person asking, have a good sense of when the other person needs a break. And I think that goes a long way in our relationship.
No, for sure. Because it just takes you gotta really know your spouse, or, you know, kind of catch the vibe of how they're feeling and stuff. There's sometimes where neither one of us feel like cooking. Like, you want to get some takeout? I was just thinking that, and we'll, you know, go out from that.
Or like sometimes it's bath time. You know, bath time is supposed to be this enjoyable thing for our kids. I mean, they like splash the water on the floor. It's it's like a tsunami. I mean, like, so they just they could be wild when it comes to bath.
Kenny in there saying booty, 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 booty.
So, or like standing up in the tub, sit out. You know, like. So sometimes bath time is a little bit stressful.
There's a whole event going on in there.
So we will say double team, you know, and you know, we'll go in there, wash them both up, get them out at the same time, and then, you know, double team bedtime, and then we have our peace. Yeah. So you know, it's definitely recognizing and being willing to help the other without being like, why can't you do it? You know.
I think I'm going on a tangent because I thought about something when it's brought up about the men being the provider. I think what I'm going to go with this is how I've seen on social media and it's probably going to get me in trouble. I don't care. How some women would portray that I need a man, even in the marriage. I'm going to stick with this being in the marriage. My man got to pay all the bills, and I just keep my money. It's just still so crazy to me that happens. I don't get it. I don't know why they expect that to just be the norm. I don't know. I'm just gonna keep it to me. I've never been that type to, can you pay my light bill or
can you pay my bill?
Pay him while we married. And even in a relationship, I took care of some things, beforehand. And even when we first started. But just to be, I'm finna, pay all the bills, it's all me.
Feeling like the ATM.
Yeah, the whole time.
Machine.
No can do. I can't do it.
Or like even when people are dating, like it's like, let's go out on a date, but he always has to pay. Like it in the beginning, maybe, like that's that's just,
if I want to take you out, I'm gonna pay.
That's just a man taking a woman out because he's interested. But like when you are in like a long-term dating relationship, to expect for him to always pay and for you to not ever spend any of your money, I feel like that's unfair. Like, let me take you out.
And this is why we're together. And I know some people, if I put this clip up, whether you watch it or not, it's going to be...
It'll be controversial for some people, but...
he going to pay everything.
But it's all good, because that's why the podcast is called This Works For Us. Like, I will continue to say that, because we're not on here telling you what you should do and how you should do it. No. We're telling you that this is our marriage and this is what works for us, and we're happy.
Yeah, we're happy with it. It just baffles me when I hear that, or it's expected all the time. Like, I'm not expecting the woman to, pay my bills. Why? I'm just not gonna get into it anymore. Not gonna do it. I think we got one more. What's your number one piece of advice for a successful marriage? I believe for us it has been really keeping God first in our marriage. Praying together, discussing things, keeping an open conversation about any and everything. That's probably the best piece of advice. Definitely keeping other people out your business.
Mm-hmm. We learned that one.
Yes, Lord. We went enough through before marriage for that.
Very hard lesson, but I'm glad that we learned it
before and then have to deal with it during. It's just it's
toxic.
Very
toxic because people don't know what's going on in your relationship, and a lot of times they only get one side of the story. Mm-hmm. And so they're only giving advice on one side of the story. So they shouldn't even want to be involved, really. But going back to the question, what's your number one piece of advice for a successful marriage? Of course, I agree. God first in everything you do. But I also think what makes our relationship successful is our friendship. We laugh a lot.
Sometimes I don't be laughing. You ain't funny to me.
Whatever. We talk a lot. And we genuinely just enjoy each other's company. And so for us, where like others may need to do like extravagant things, go on lavish vacations or what have you. I mean, not that we don't do that. We do enjoy traveling with friends. But I think for us, we could literally take a day off of work and just
be home
and hang out with each other.
Oh, that'd be the best.
Or, you know, like one of the things that I look forward to is, you know, after we put the kids to bed, like our time, where it's just pillow talk, or it's just laughs, or it's just being silly, or whatever it is. But the fact that we can always just be friends, just puts like the cherry on top.
Was the real cherry or imitation cherry?
Real cherry. Oh my God. It was nasty. Just nasty. I don't even know why people would.
We
the
did
maraschino cherries is.
I think, did we put them on the
Is that what it's called?
I don't know what those things are called. But didn't we put I think when I worked at Dairy Queen, did we put those on? Are they on? You still get Dairy Queen.
They're nasty. Don't do it.
You'd be surprised. I want to say people ask for extra.
I know one particular person that likes those nasty cherries. I won't say any names, but those things.
Oh God.
Anywho.
Yeah.
That's our time. That's our time for tonight. We appreciate you tuning in and watching This Works For Us. Please make sure to subscribe, like, and share. And we hope that you continue to join in and watch with us or watch us.
God bless you. Have a great day.